What if the next great step in human evolution didn't involve exploring distant galaxies, merging with advanced AI, or rewriting our genetic code, but unlocking the deepest potential of something we already possess? Imagine a moment when the human brain, the most complex biological machine we know, suddenly removes every filter, every limitation, every evolutionary safety lock. Imagine perception without suppression, memory without deletion, emotion without distortion, and intellect without boundaries. Today, we open a door evolution never wanted us to open. This is the beautiful, terrifying question. You've heard the myth. Humans use only 10% of their brain. Science rejects it. MRI scans show the entire brain has activity. But here's the truth that's far more interesting and far more frightening. The brain intentionally limits itself. It hides information. It suppresses perception. It deletes memories. It slows your thoughts. It numbs your emotions. It filters reality. Not because it's weak, but because its full power would overwhelm you. Evolution built your mind like a nuclear reactor, enclosed in a safety shell, operating far below its true capacity to protect its host, you. But in this scenario, the shell cracks. The filters drop. The mind fully awakens, and the transformation begins. The first change is subtle. No pain, no noise, just clarity. You open your eyes, and the world is suddenly too real. Your brain, now unfiltered, processes every photon of light it receives. A room you've seen 1,000 times becomes overwhelming. Dust floats in slow cosmic arcs. Heat rises from electronics like shimmering distortion. Paint reveals micro-textures you never noticed. Shadows bend with the slightest movement. Surfaces gleam with invisible ultraviolet reflections. Nothing is simple anymore. Nothing is empty. Every object becomes a universe of detail. You hear pressure inside metal pipes behind walls, the subtle stress in someone's voice, the vibration of objects touched by airflow, your heartbeat, and someone else's. Touch becomes a high-resolution interface. Smell becomes chemical analysis. Taste becomes molecular data. With filters gone, reality becomes breathtaking and terrifying. You're not just seeing the world, you're decoding it. A normal human thinks in a line, one thought, the next. But now the mind stops obeying that rule. Your brain activates thousands of parallel pathways. Thought becomes multidimensional. Simultaneously, without effort, you analyze your environment, recall dozens of memories, predict immediate futures, calculate complex outcomes, read micro-emotions in others, track your heart rate and breathing, generate new ideas, evaluate risks and opportunities. Compare everything to your entire life archive. This isn't chaos, this is harmony, a mental orchestra with perfect timing. A consciousness no longer confined to one track. Externally, a second passes. Internally, you experience a minute. Time bends inside your mind. You are thinking faster than the world can move. Humans forget almost everything they experience. Not because memory is bad, because remembering everything would destroy us. But now nothing is lost. Memories return in perfect, terrifying clarity. The exact tone of your mother's voice when you were 5, the layout of every childhood room, the emotions you felt the moment your heart broke, the fear you pushed away years ago, every insignificant detail your brain erased to protect you. You don't recall memories, you relive them. They are not images, but experiences, smells, sounds, emotional intensity, physical sensations. Your entire life becomes a navigable, living archive. It is beautiful. It is painful. It is unavoidable. The mind must now confront everything it refused to face. Emotions used to strike unpredictably, storms hitting without warning. But now you see them from above. Fear isn't fear anymore. It's a sequence. Breath quickens, heart rate spikes, muscles tighten, adrenaline surges, thoughts distort. Anger becomes predictable. Jaw tension, arrow, chest pressure, arrow, heat, arrow, impulse. Sadness becomes measurable. Hormonal shifts, arrow, cognitive slowdown, arrow, memory activation. But the real difference? You can intervene. You can reduce fear before it forms, stop anger before it peaks, amplify courage on command, deactivate guilt without suppressing empathy, trigger motivation like flipping a switch. You don't control emotions, you engineer them, and empathy becomes almost supernatural. You read people like open books, a tremor in the voice, a flick of the eyes, a pause, a micro-expression, a swallow, a breath. All reveal desire, fear, jealousy, guilt, excitement, heartbreak, deception, loneliness. You no longer wonder what someone feels, you know. This is human connection at godlike resolution, beautiful and isolating. Your brain now learns like nothing on Earth. Information is not processed, it is absorbed. A physics formula becomes a rotating 3D model you manipulate in your mind. A new language becomes a pattern your brain reorganizes instantly. Skills become simulations. Your brain maps movement, timing, and emotion after watching once. Entire academic fields condense into hours. Connections between disciplines appear effortlessly. Biology plus AI, economics plus psychology, philosophy plus physics, engineering plus neuroscience. You innovate faster than you can speak. Ideas bloom like fractals. You're no longer learning. You're evolving. And now, the horror arrives. A fully awakened brain is not sustainable inside a human body. Neurons fire faster. Heat rises, heart accelerates, muscles weaken, metabolism skyrockets, nutrients deplete, immune system collapses. You feel burning behind the eyes, tremors in your hands. Exhaustion mixed with hyperfocus, sensory overload, disconnection from your physical body. Your mind ascends, your body fails. This is why evolution restricts the brain, not out of laziness, out of mercy. A human body cannot sustain a fully awakened mind. Your identity splits, not into madness but into architecture. You develop a layer watching your emotions, a layer managing your thoughts, a layer projecting future outcomes, a layer analyzing your environment, a layer monitoring your body, a layer observing all the other layers. Sleep changes. You no longer rest. You run maintenance, repair trauma, reorganize memory, rewrite emotional patterns, optimize behavior, test alternate identities. You wake up slightly different every day, a constantly updating version of yourself. You stop being a fixed identity. You become a self-evolving process. Humanity stops being confusing. You see patterns everywhere, how societies rise, how they collapse, how fear shapes politics, how loneliness shapes culture, how trends grow like organisms, how conflict spreads like infection. You predict who will argue, who will fall in love, which leader will fail, which system will break, how large populations will behave. You understand people deeply, so deeply it becomes painful. Your mind has outgrown the species you belong to. This is the inspiring horror, to see humanity with divine clarity, and to realize that understanding separates you from those you understand. The final truth, a human using 100% of their brain could not survive it. Not because the brain would explode, but because the body cannot match the mind. Your heart, lungs, metabolism, immune system, and cells cannot fuel a brain operating at full capacity. You would transcend mentally but collapse physically. The mind would rise like a god, as the body dies like a human. So is what happens when a human uses 100% of their brain. They see everything, feel everything, understand everything, predict everything, remember everything, create anything. They become something extraordinary and something unsustainable. The true question is not, can we unlock 100% of the human brain? The true question is, can humanity evolve into a species capable of surviving it? Because the day we do, consciousness itself will become our next frontier. If this journey into the mind made you think, imagine what comes next. Subscribe so you're here when we cross the next frontier together.